Good morning, ma'am. This is Bhavya Jha, and today I'm here to give a presentation on The Toys of Peace, a brief summary. Outline of the presentation: exploring The Toys of Peace by Saki, introduction of the main characters, brief biography of H.H. Munro, who is also known as Saki, synopsis of the story's plot, discussion of themes like childhood and satire that is used to critique society, insight into the societal values and contradictions depicted in the stories, and final thoughts on the appeal of the story. Exploring the Toys of Peace by Saki. Saki was the pen name of British writer H. H. Munro. Satirical reflections. He uses the toys of peace to humorously critique the Edwardian society's norms, especially regarding childhood, parenting, and societal values. Unconventional parenting. The title focuses on a father's unconventional attempt to dissuade his children from warlike plays. Usually, parents believe at the time of Edwardian society, they actually got a thought that why not introduce peace toys for their children rather than introducing warlike plays or military that would give their children exposure to wars about Waterloo, etc. Rather than that, they wanted to introduce these children to the civilian toys, like toys about peasants or about principals that gave way to new schools, or about madams that helped women study, etc. But somehow when they introduced these toys to the student to their children, they got a humorous reaction. Rather than the students or the children accepting these toys, this actually gave way to a new problematic issues, a new issue that was actually quite humorous, which we'll be seeing in the later slides. So moving on to the next slide. Introduction of main characters in the story that is written by Saki, of course. So the very first character is Egbert. He is the father figure and the central character of the story. Egbert is determined to shape his children's playtime away from warlike themes. Let's talk about the children. The story revolves around Egbert's children, who are enthusiastic and imaginative in their play. The supporting characters. The supporting characters, such as Egbert's relatives and household members, contribute to the story's humor. This slide is about brief biography of H. H. Munro, who is also known as Saki. So early life. Hector Hugh Munro, who wrote under the pen name of Saki, was born in 1870 in now Myanmar. He spent his early years in England and was raised by his grandmother and aunts after his mother's death. His career and writing. Saki began his career as a journalist. He later became famous for his satirical short stories set in Edwardian society. His writing was known for its witty humor, social commentary, and keen observations on human nature. Synopsis of the story's plot. The Toys of Peace is a collection of witty and satirical short stories by Saki, the pen name of H. H. Munro, published in 1919. The tales primarily revolve around children and their interactions with adults, often exploring the humorous contrast between the innocence of childhood and the absurdity of adult behavior. The stories in The Toys of Peace frequently portray children as clever and mischievous, using their imagination and innocence to navigate the world around them, often outsmarting or perplexing the adults. So what actually happens in the story is that when the father, Egbert, and his uncle actually introduced these peace toys to the children, peace toys in the sense civilians or a municipal dustbin, which included schools and principals and peasants, a voting box, and all all related to the civilian life rather than military or guns or any other warlike play, violent plays. They actually expected the children to accept these toys and play with them. And they actually thought that this would encourage them to become more poetic, to become more, having more knowledge of literary activities, etc. But rather than this reaction, the children actually gave quite humorous reaction, because what they did is they actually converted the entire civilian story into a military story, where they showed that the military actually came to attack the civilians, and this actually got converted into a military story again. So it actually took a very humorous turn. Uh, from this story, Saki actually wants to tell us about the parents' mindset and the children's innocence. Children are really innocent. They don't actually think about warlike games or about violent themes. All they want is fun and imagination and plays. But what most of the times parents fail to understand is that the imagination of the children is not limited to only this warlike plays or military, but rather than that, these children have to explore a lot of things in their childhood. And parents sometimes want to force their decisions on their children, which is actually wrong, which actually tries to limit the children's abilities. So Saki actually tells about this particular theme through a story, which we'll be looking forward in the later slides again. So one notable story from the collection is the disappearance of Crispina Umberley, where a wealthy woman vanishes, leading to various comical speculations and misunderstandings among the townspeople. Overall, The Toys of Peace showcases Saki's sharp wit, clever storytelling, and his knack of satirizing Edwardian society through the lens of children's playful innocence. Discussion of themes like childhood and satire used to critique society. So The Toys of Peace by Saki delves into several themes like childhood and satire that is used as a tool to critique the society. The very first one we have is childhood and imagination, and then we have a satire on the social norms. So as said, Saki actually, through his story, he actually used a satire, or he actually used sarcasm to highlight about the society and how the society is trying to limit children rather than exposing them to more imaginative things, or rather than let children be how they are. They are actually trying to mold children into what they want to be. But this actually has very negative repercussions on students or the children as well. So insight into the societal values and contradictions depicted in the stories. Parental expectations versus children's natural inclinations. So as said, children are really innocent. All they want is to explore about their imagination, to explore their creative world, rather than the parents' pressure of thinking the same things or going into the same directions. So this slide actually tells us about this particular theme, the parental expectations versus what children actually want. So innocence versus adult world realities and rigid social expectations. So usually our society has a lot of expectations from us, and these expectations come to arise even at a very early stage in their life. Like in the story, the child was only 9.5 years, but still he was expected to mold his mind into accepting civilian plays rather than enjoying warlike themes, or rather than enjoying what boys usually enjoy, like playing with guns, etc. Final thoughts on the appeal of Saki's The Toys of Peace. Humor and wit. Saki's use of sharp wit, irony, and satire infuses the stories with humor that transcends time. His clever observations and witty commentary on societal norms and parenting create an engaging and entertaining read. Timeless themes. Despite being set in the Edwardian era, the themes explored, such as childhood, parental expectations, societal contradictions, and the clash between adult ideas and children's imaginations. So these, Edwardian society was a very like it was set in a very before epoch. But even though the same themes, like for example parental expectations and the children's reactions towards these expectations, all these are applicable even in present generation. Like even in 21st century we can find our society having a lot of expectations from us. So overall, Saki's Toys of Peace gave us a lot of exposure to these themes, and it's really very amazing story. So with this I would like to end my presentation. um, Thank you. So presentation by Bhavya Jha from Computer Science and Engineering Department. Thank you.